about paying able-bodied 30-year-old men without dependents welfare with no work requirement. Why do some of your colleagues have a problem with that?
It doesn't make sense to me. Number one is if you don't want to work, you're the one that decided you don't want health care.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, Medicaid is supposed to be for children that don't have health care and people with chronic illness. I remember when my brother...
Let's talk about this big, beautiful bill that the Republicans just passed last week. I want to talk about two things that's in that bill. I want to talk about Medicaid, and I want to talk about no tax on overtime. You know, I've been sitting back listening to Republicans talk about work requirements, that people need to work in order to receive Medicaid. But there is one thing that Republicans don't tell you. Well, it's two things they don't tell you. First of all, they don't tell you that 64% of the people receiving Medicaid do work. 44% are full-time workers and 20% are part-time workers. They don't tell you that, and they leave that out for a reason. And that reason is a living wage. See, those people that works full-time and part-time, you know who they work for? They work for companies like Amazon and Walmart, who are not paying a livable wage in order for these people to afford medical insurance. See, that's what Republicans are not telling you. They keep saying work requirement, work requirements, work requirements. Well, 64% of people already working. It's just that they don't make enough money to get private medical insurance. Now, I'm going to give you myself as an example. Now, and I'm going to put in my cost of rent also with this percentage. Now, I pay between insurance and my rent almost 35% of my gross income. My gross income, my base income. Now, I'm not including my overtime that I have to work sometimes in order to make a living, but just get rid of the overtime and just count my base income. I pay almost 35% of my income, my gross income, toward rent and medical insurance. Now, I make average salary. Average. Now, someone working at Walmart, working at Amazon, they're not making as much as I'm making. So how in the hell do you expect them to be able to afford medical insurance on their pay? They can't. It's impossible. But keep in mind also, these are the same companies that they're giving these big tax breaks to. And it's not trickling down to the poor people. Because those poor people are still making non-livable wages. See, they don't explain that to you. The Republican Party will never explain that to you. Only thing they want you to think about, oh, these people don't work. They want to get you outraged about people who they say don't work, which is not true. Now, that's one thing. Second thing that's in that bill, that's somewhat of a scam. No taxes on overtime. Now, first of all, how can you sunset something less than 3 years after you enact it? If y'all go and read that bill, y'all would see that the no tax on overtime, it sunsets after the tax season of 2028. And we are in 2025. So we talk about 2.5 years. Then this bill sunsets. It goes away. Make that make sense. Not only that, you're still being taxed for the overtime. This is how they did it. So during the year you work, you still gonna be taxed on your overtime. But at the end of the tax season, they're gonna give you a rebate, a deduction for that overtime. But the catch is, if you make more than 100 grand, you're not gonna qualify for the no tax, the credit. That's another scam that they told y'all. See, they running around here bragging about no tax on overtime, no taxes on tip, but it didn't tell you there's a catch to it. And there's a ceiling also on it. See, people need to get out and do their own research and stop listening to the Republicans. They're telling you nothing but lies. Like I said, they're telling you that people don't work on Medicaid. That's not true. 64% of the people works. They're telling you there's no tax on tip and overtime. That's not true, because there is taxing you. They still are taxing your overtime. They're just going to give you a deduction at the end of the year for the overtime, in which there's a ceiling. If you make more than 100 grand a year, you're not going to get that deduction. Wake up, American. Understand that the Republican Party is conning you with this big, beautiful bill. This big, beautiful bill only benefits two groups. Major corporations and the extreme rich. That's who this bill really benefits. Think about it. They're taking all these things from poor people. What are they taking from the big corporations and the millionaires and billionaires? What are they taking from them? Nothing. Everything they're taking is coming from the poor. Everything is coming from the poor. Make that make sense. You're taking all this from the poor and not taking anything from the rich. Doesn't make sense, right? Go read the bill. Go read that big, beautiful mess of a bill. And you'll see there's a lot of things in that bill that you will not like. Think about it.